Today in this chapter we are going to discuss about what are the important requisites or conditions for a laser action to take place. Already we have discussed that stimulated emission is the principle behind laser action. Stimulated processes, only stimulated process we can control it from outside. Spontaneous process we cannot control because it is exhibited by the atom by itself. If radiation interact with matter, suppose normally more number of atoms are there in the ground state than the higher energy level that we have discussed. If this process, if this such an atomic system, if we can trigger this by supplying photon, only one action can take place here because more number of atoms are here in the ground state. So only ground state atoms can absorb this energy and can excite it to the higher energy level. So the process actually going to happen here is only stimulated absorption process, isn't it? But for laser action, stimulated emission process should be greater than stimulated absorption process. Then only laser action can take place. Okay, that is the first condition. Rate of stimulated emission should be greater than rate of stimulated absorption. For that, what we require? For that, it is implicit from this figure that in order to get more number of stimulated emission than stimulated absorption, more number of atoms should be residing in the higher energy level, isn't it? Such a condition is known as population inversion condition. Population inversion condition. So first condition was among these three requisites for laser action, there are three requisites for laser action. First one was stimulated emission should be greater than stimulated absorption. Second one, there should be a population inversion condition. What is meant by population inversion condition? Population means normally the normal number of atoms or the number of active atoms per unit volume. Number of active atoms, the number of atoms which are actively participating in a reaction per unit volume in an energy level is known as population of that state. At equilibrium condition, normally more number of atoms will be residing in the ground state or lower energy state than the excited state. That means at equilibrium condition, N1, ground state number of atoms will be greater than excited state number of atoms. But under such a condition, there is no chance for getting stimulated emission process in large scale, or there is no chance for getting laser action. For that, more number of atoms should be there in the excited state. But at normal condition, it is not possible because higher energy level is more unstable, isn't it? So for that we can discuss another term, but here population inversion means in order to get more number of stimulated emission, more number of atoms should be there in the excited state than the lower energy state. Such an inversion of population is known as population inversion. Okay, so its definition is, it is actually an artificial condition. A natural condition, under natural condition, more number of atoms will be there in the ground state. So here it is an artificial condition and it is a non-equilibrium condition where the population of higher energy state will be greater than that of lower energy state. Look here, population of higher energy state is greater than that of lower energy state. That is N2 will be greater than N1. Under such a condition, if we are supplying an external photon, there is a chance for this photon to trigger stimulated emission process. Okay, so this is population inversion. How will you obtain such a population inversion condition? In order to obtain population inversion, we should be supplying continuously some energy to this atomic system so that we are not allowing any atom to sit idly in its ground state. We are continuously supplying energy so that even if the atoms are coming back to the ground state, suddenly they will absorb energy from outside and they will go to the excited state. Again, if it may be coming back to the ground state by spontaneous emission, but as we are supplying energy continuously, it will absorb the energy and go back to the excited state. So as a result, after some time, we will be able to obtain such a condition where more number of atoms will be there in the excited state than ground state. This is population inversion. Okay, so these two conditions are already discussed. First requisite was stimulated emission should be greater than stimulated absorption. Second one, presence of or condition which is required is population inversion condition. In order to get a population inversion condition, atom has to reside in the excited state, isn't it? But we have already studied that excited state is highly unstable and its lifetime is only 10 raised to minus 9 seconds. So that it is not possible for atom to reside there for a long time. Then what will you do to get a population inversion condition? There should be, in order to get a laser action, there should be such a state which is intermediate between this ground state or lower energy state and excited state, which is having a more lifetime than this excited state and which is having a lifetime of the order of 10 raised to minus 3 seconds, where atom can reside for this much time. Such a state is known as metastable state. So this is presence of a metastable state is very much required for laser action to take place. So metastable state is actually intermediate between higher energy state and lower energy state, where atom can reside for a long time. How it can happen? We can just discuss it. Suppose there is such a system where more number of atoms were residing in the ground state and there is only lesser number of atoms are there in the excited state. We are continuously supplying energy to such a system. The supply of energy is known as pumping. Continuously we are supplying energy so that this atom will absorb this energy and stimulated absorption will happen. But after stimulated absorption, atom cannot reside there for a long time. There will be spontaneous emission process. Atom will, by itself, it will emit some energy and come back to more stable state. But here there is a chance that this atom can come back to more stable metastable state, where it can reside for a long time. And it will reside there for a long time so that number of atoms in the metastable state will become more than that of the ground state. That condition is known as population inversion. So under such a condition, if we are supplying energy by pumping, not stimulated absorption will dominate. The dominated process will be stimulated emission. This pumping method will help us to provide some photon to these atoms or electrons in the metastable state. It will absorb and it will act as a stimulant or trigger for it to emit another photon of same kind, and then it will come back to the ground state. These two photons can again trigger another two atoms and it will in turn give you 4 photons, and other atoms will come back to the ground state. This 4 photons can again trigger another 4 electrons or atoms, and this as a result the chain reaction, number of photons will multiply and you will get collimated beam, intense beam, coherent monochromatic beam of laser. So these are the important 3 requisites for laser action to take place. Then what is the definition for metastable state that you have to study, and what is its importance? It is actually an excited state having a longer lifetime than usual unstable excited state. It is called a metastable state because it is intermediate between lower energy level and higher energy state. Its lifetime is of the order of 10 raised to minus 3 seconds, and there could not be any population inversion and hence no laser action if metastable state do not exist. We can artificially create metastable state by adding impurities to an atomic system. Okay, so these are the 3 important requisites. Important question: what are the 3 requisites or what are the 3 conditions required for laser action to take place? Then what is meant by this pumping? Can you define it now? Pumping is actually, it is the process of supplying energy to a medium for transferring atoms from lower energy level to higher energy level so as to obtain and maintain a population inversion condition. That is pumping. Depending upon type of laser, different types of pumping methods are used. First method is optical pumping. In optical pumping, this population inversion has been achieved by supplying luminous energy, light energy to a system. So this pumping method is known as optical pumping. Here an atom will be exposed to a photon, and atom will absorb this photon, and we will get an excited state atom, which is represented as atom star. This type of optical pumping is used in our laser, first laser that we have to study, which is known as ruby laser. So ruby laser is an example where optical pumping method is used. Second pumping method is electric discharge pumping. Electric discharge pumping is an example for the action of a tube light. Here the laser medium, if it is a gas, it is enclosed in a tube, discharge tube at low pressure. When a potential difference is applied between cathode and anode, the electrons will be emitted from the cathode to the anode may accelerate. They will accelerate towards this anode. These accelerated electrons will collide with the gas molecules here. Gas molecules are actually the lasing medium. So these electrons will collide with the gas molecules, and as a result of collision, the gas molecules may get excited to the higher energy level. So the action is atom plus, not photon, here it is electron. You will get an excited state atom, atom star. So this is the process. Third method is inelastic atom-atom collision. Inelastic atom-atom collision. Suppose here we have two different types of gas molecules, A and B. And B is the atom which is giving you laser action. But this electron is colliding with the A. Then A may get excited to the higher energy level, but no use. A is not capable of giving you laser action. Then A can transfer its energy to B by an inelastic collision. That is known as atom-atom inelastic collision. That means, first of all, the electron will collide with an atom which may not be giving you a laser action. So it will get excited to the energy level A star. And in the second step, this excited atom may collide, as it is gas molecule. During its motion, it may collide with the second B molecule, and it may get excited to as B star. So this type of atom-atom inelastic collision type pumping is happening in helium neon laser, which we have to study in detail. These two lasers, ruby and helium neon, we have to study in detail. Then next one is electric pumping. Fourth type of pumping method is electric pumping. Electric pumping method means directly we are giving electrical energy and it will be converted into light energy. Such kind of pumping is used in semiconductor lasers. And the last one, chemical pumping. That is actually chemical reaction itself is supplying energy. Chemical pumping. Excitation of atom here takes place by chemical reaction. Suppose hydrogen fluoride, HF. Hydrogen fluoride or hydrogen chloride, the molecules get after chemical reaction H2 plus F2 will give you 2HF, which will be in the higher excited state, or hydrogen chloride H2 plus Cl2, after chemical reaction you will get 2HCl, which will be in the higher excited state. So this is chemical pumping. These are the 5 pumping methods used. So what is meant by pumping? What are the methods used? It is another important topic. Okay. Now we have to discuss about main components of a laser. Main components. These are actually conditions required. Now we are going into its hardware type structure. That means what we require physically. What are the requirements for producing a laser action? So that are the components of a laser. We will discuss it in the next class. Components of a laser and ruby laser also we are going to discuss in the next video. Thank you.